If you're watching this because you're tired of running out of hot water mid-shower, juggling sky-high electric bills, and wondering whether the next water heater you buy will actually survive a year of everyday use, you're in the right place. I hear you, the perfect water heater needs to be reliable, easy to live with, and worth every penny, not just a laundry list of specs that sound good on paper. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started digging into electric heat pump water heaters, the biggest fear I kept hearing from homeowners was that "does it really work in my climate?" question. Heat pump technology pulls heat from the surrounding air, so if you live in a very cold basement or a damp attic, you worry the unit will struggle, or that you'll end up with a big, noisy compressor that never shuts off. On the flip side, the promise of a lower energy bill is tempting, but I also saw a lot of people worried about the upfront cost and whether the warranty really covers the things that matter, like a failing pump after a couple of years. That's why I spent a couple of weeks reading technical write-ups, watching installer videos, and scouring forums for anyone who actually lives with a heat pump water heater in the long haul. The Rinnai REHP80 popped up a few times because it's positioned as an 80-gallon unit that's Energy Star certified, has a high first-hour delivery rating, and is labeled as demand response enabled, meaning it can work with utility programs that shave peak load. Those are all promising clues, but what does it really mean for you on a day-to-day basis? First, let's talk about who should consider the REHP80. If you have a family of 3 or more, or you frequently run multiple loads of laundry, dishes, and showers back-to-back, the 80-gallon capacity is a practical sweet spot. In my own house, an 80-gallon tank meant we could run a full load of dishes, a quick laundry, and still have enough hot water for a 2-person shower without the water turning lukewarm halfway through. That high first-hour rating translates into the ability to deliver a lot of hot water right after the tank is full, which is exactly what you need when you're juggling a busy morning routine. If you live in a milder climate, say anywhere north of the Mason-Dixon line but not deep freeze territory, the heat pump design can really shine. The unit pulls heat from the ambient air, so in a 60-degree basement it still extracts enough energy to keep the water at the set temperature while using far less electricity than a traditional electric resistance heater. In real-world terms, users have reported seeing their electric bill drop by as much as 30% after switching to a heat pump model, even after factoring in the higher initial price. Those savings become noticeable after roughly a year or two, which is the break-even point for most people. Now, let's be clear about the trade-offs. The REHP80 is not a magic bullet for sub-zero winters. In colder months, the unit's efficiency does dip because the air is colder, and the system may rely more on its built-in electric resistance backup to keep the water warm enough. That means you could see a spike in power usage during a hard freeze. However, because the unit is designed to handle those bumps, you won't see the water temperature crash, just a modest bump in the electricity draw. If you have a very cold garage or an unheated basement that frequently sits below 40 degrees, you might want to consider an additional insulation blanket for the tank or a supplemental heating element, both of which Rinnai offers as accessories. Installation is another practical concern. The REHP80 is marketed as easy to install, but that really means the unit is designed to fit standard 80-gallon dimensions and comes with pre-wired connections that a qualified electrician can hook up in a few hours. The biggest hidden step is making sure the location has adequate clearance for airflow. Because the heat pump needs to pull in surrounding air, you can't stash it in a cramped closet. In practice, most installers recommend a location with at least a foot of space on all sides, plus a clear path for the exhaust vent. If you're comfortable with a little DIY, the manual is straightforward, but you'll still want a professional to verify the electrical load and ensure the venting complies with local codes. One area where the REHP80 stands out is durability. Rinnai has a reputation for solid construction, and this model comes with a residential warranty that covers the tank and the heat pump components for 10 years. That's a strong signal that the company expects the system to last, and it gives you a safety net if something goes wrong after the first year. The warranty isn't unlimited. There's a typical deductible for service calls, but it's far better than the 3-year coverage you often see on competing models. On the downside, the price tag is higher than a conventional electric resistance heater of the same size. The initial investment can feel steep, especially if you're budgeting.